My name is Stanley Brooks. For the last couple of weeks, I've been having some problems. It all started around the first week of high school. I had just moved here from Missouri, and it goes without saying that moving to a new place means making new friends. But unlike middle school, making friends in high school is nearly impossible.
Stanley, how's it going? Stanley the Manly.
Richard, come on.
Hey, Stanley, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I'm kind of the head honcho around here. You've really been acting like a hotshot, all right? So why don't you stay out of my way? We won't have any problems, all right?
I didn't do anything. You just let me go.
I'm not so sure what I'm telling you is getting through that thick skull of yours. I think I'm gonna have to teach you a lesson.
That day, I learned how cruel people could be. But I did make one friend that day, Chester. Chester was a stray, much like I felt myself to be. After no time at all, Chester and I were best friends. And every day after school, we would spend all of our time together. But like much of my luck, me and Chester's friendship was to end much too quickly. Richard had once again made my life miserable. But this time, he had took the last bit of happiness that I had left. After this day, I didn't hear from Chester again. This is where my problem began. I couldn't sleep, and what was worse was the fact that I would black out and find myself in the strangest places doing the strangest things. Short days and endless nights, the two mixed and blended into one continual nightmare. Doctors told me I had something called dissociative fugue with a hint of insomnia. It was more like a recipe for going psychotic. Mix half a cup of insanity with 3/4 cup of sleep deprivation. Throw them into a cauldron and watch the bubbling mess overflow. I felt things start to go loose in my head, screws started to fall out, gears stopped moving, and the breaking point became ever so close as the line between reality and fiction were crossed. I'd do just about anything to keep me busy during the long hours of the night, waiting with inexpressible anticipation for the morning. Crossword puzzles, learning Italian, counting the number of spaces between the minuscule scraps of carpet, playing with matches, shuffling cards, counting the number of bumps on a basketball, sewing, anything to take my mind off how completely miserable I'd become. And isolated in every conceivable way, physically and mentally, the clock kept on winding backwards and laughed in my face, only to let me ponder what the next 4 hours would hold in store for me. Who was I kidding? Chester was the only reason I would even walk out the front door every morning. Taking that first step out the door and letting the crisp morning air slap me in the face, letting me know that today would be like every other day. Oh, Chester, my only friend. And Richard. Richard was the epitome of what was wrong with this world. That pug face with his beady eyes, those fat cheeks that jiggled every time he smiled and revealed that crooked grin. I hate you, Richard. I hate this place. That night, I heard a bark outside my window. At first, I thought it was only in my head, but when I went to the window, I found out that it was my best friend, and he was alive and well. I was overwhelmed with joy. But, on the other hand, Chester was more interested in dragging me all the way into the woods. And all of a sudden, it hit me. It couldn't have hit me any harder than it did at that very moment. The past rushed back. Everything, every place, and every time I had ever experienced meshed together and showed me the completed puzzle of my way. I had done something terrible without any conscious or prerequisition of anything which had occurred. And then I woke up. I had killed Richard. Instinct took over, and all I could do was run. As I ran, as far away as I could, flashes of my crime rushed into my head until I could find the nearest place to sit and try to figure this all out. At this point, it was useless. I could hear the sirens closing in as the morning sun began to rise. This is not a happy story, nor is it a justified one. What I have done can never be forgiven, and for this, I will be punished. The moral of my sad story is that sometimes words and thoughts are just as bad as actions. And now, I can finally go to sleep.